Ah, The Legend of Zelda. Genuinely one of my favorite series of all time. One where, ironically enough, you never actually play as Zelda. So when I saw Nintendo reveal a 2D Zelda game like this, I was almost certainly intrigued. Would they knock this one out of the park? Or would it be an experiment gone wrong? My name is Bloodybook, and in today's video we're going to be going over what I like about The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and what exactly I don't like about The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. But don't worry, because this review will be mostly spoiler-free until the very end. And with that being said, let's get right into it. Oh my god, it's Breath of the Wild 3! It has been quite a while since we've gotten the last official 2D Zelda game, and I know in recent years we've gotten Cadence of Hyrule, and we also got the Link's Awakening remake on Switch. However, it's actually been 11 years since we've gotten a fully original 2D Zelda game. Damn, it's already been 11 years, what the hell? Where did time go? But anyways, this game has a lot of expectations set for it. I mean, you can't just follow up two of my favorite Zelda games with something subpar, but I can safely say that this game starts off pretty well. The intro was great. It perfectly sets up the tone of the rest of the game, and there were no distractions or anything during this section. Link is playable in this segment, and you quickly get accustomed to his moveset. At this point in the game, it might not seem like a great deal. However, you will soon see how this foreshadows a major gameplay mechanic. As seen in the trailer, Link gets absolutely demolished playing Pong against Ganon, harkening back to the fight against the Shadow Nightmare in Link's Awakening. Nice touch. Also, don't get mad at me for spoiling a game that's literally 31 years old. Zelda then escapes the area with Link's hood, in a sequence oddly similar to another crappy game I played this year. And then you see the cliff. But then you'll immediately realize how linear the game actually is. At least at this section. Never have I played a game in this series that held my hand as much as this opening segment does. And that says something. Which is strange, cause some of the puzzles are genuinely challenging. So Zelda is straight up a fugitive who gets bailed out of jail by Granny Impa.
I didn't kill my wife! I don't care!
She kicks ass, by the way. And you also meet Tree, who I can safely say does not interrupt you at all with useless information, like a certain other fairy does. You do get some prompts for a ton of echoes in this first area though, which is pretty annoying at first. However, that is pretty much what this entire game is centered around. Building a trampoline, stacking boxes. Seems on the surface like a great idea. Yeah, it seems great, but I'll touch on it more later. Also funny how they call Tree an ethereal creature. Like, yeah, what's your race? Oh, I'm fucking ethereal. So the most major difference this game has is no sword. Instead, you either throw objects at them, or after beating an enemy for the first time, you can summon them to attack for you. Pretty cool, all things considered. The problem is that since Zelda is so defenseless by herself, and you can't control said enemies, your best bet is to move around and watch the CPU fight against each other. Hold up a minute. Level 3 Armos Knight? Alright, let me summon them. Oh, I can't summon anything else. Okay, I'm just gonna, I'll wait here. Y'all seem to be duking it out. I guess my work here is done. I'll just be sitting in the corner watching, eating some popcorn. We'll be good. Not really a system I'm a big fan of. And the combat also brings me to healing items. Like Breath of the Wild had cooking, in this game you have smoothies. These, I feel, from a mechanical standpoint, are pretty neat. However, the problem comes with just how many of these you can hold at once. You're able to hold up to 20 of these, and they can almost fully restore your health at any time. This majorly upsets the balance of the game in my opinion, and I feel like you should play without them because, trust me, this game will be trivial otherwise. The bosses in this game are much better than fighting normal enemies, since Zelda actually feels purposely designed for them. You also come across shadow mini-bosses of Link in this game, and you gain control of his Echo for a limited time, also known as Sword Fighter mode. I think this is an expertly handled way of having him in the game, and it's made even better when you're able to upgrade his Echo, deal more damage, have more items, and extend the duration of Sword Fighter form. Otherwise, you'd play in this mode the whole time because Zelda is clearly the weaker one here. Also, something to mention is that you have the lock-on system from 3D Zelda games, as well as a dedicated jump button. I personally feel like the lock-on system is far too powerful for a top-down Zelda title. I think it almost completely takes the fun out of aiming, and it's not really suited at all for this kind of game. Jumping, however, is amazing. Like the Rock's Feather in Link's Awakening, except now it's just a part of your base moveset. Going forward, I feel like this should be the standard for every 2D Zelda game. The game has 2 difficulty options that you can switch between at any time, normal and hero mode. Hero mode just makes you take double damage, and you get no heart pickups for breaking objects. Extremely artificial difficulty scaling, in my opinion, and it adds nothing to the overall challenge. Side quests are in this game, and they fit like a glove. Can't say I'm all too impressed with any of them specifically, but completionists are sure to have their plates full. Fuck you, Gerard. So this game has a sort of a Link to the Past moment, where after the first 2 dungeons, you go into Hyrule Castle for the first time. Kinda. And then you're no longer bound to linearity. This game goes from the Minish Cap to Breath of the Wild. And it's weird, since it took around 2 dungeons for this game to actually open up. This game truly tries to be the shakeup for 2D Zelda that Breath of the Wild was for 3D Zelda, for better or worse. The neat thing is that exploring Hyrule with the Echo system sometimes feels like you're sequence breaking. You get to hop over cliffs and trees. Really neat stuff. The problem I feel is the illusion of choice in regards to platforming and puzzle sections. I will tell you right now that you will abuse the water block, the bed echo, and the cloud echo for the entire game, and every other echo you will forget about. I think a handful of times I felt rightfully stumped by the puzzles in this game, where other times it just felt like Princess Peach showtime. Breath of the Wild was absolutely this game's curse in more ways than one. The soundtrack, while having some nice melodies, don't stick out to me at all compared to the previous games. They all try the whole atmospheric stuff in this game, which I feel doesn't do the adventure justice, especially when put against Link's Awakening. The characters in this game feel ripped straight out of Breath of the Wild 2, which is also odd since the skeleton of the map is so obviously a Link to the Past. Darston is like Unibo without the constant whining. Tira and Dona are quite literally Urbosa and Riju from Wish.com. The only stories I actually enjoyed here was, first, the dynamic between the river and the sea Zoras, which I thought wrapped up in a very sweet way, and Conde, due to his tragic backstory and determination to make his family proud of him. I genuinely felt a connection to this guy, no matter how brief I met him. This guy is awesome, and he deserves to get a hug. The overworld has rifts, which kind of act as this game's shrines. Obviously not as many though. These segments feel a bit repetitive, as it's all platforming, and every one of these sections looks exactly the same. And as I've stated before, the platforming in this game is broken. They do power up Tree though, so you kind of have to do them, in a way. Like, technically you could go through the entire game without doing it, but you're gonna have a very hard time otherwise. Zelda, like Link in Breath of the Wild, also gets the option of unlocking different costumes. However, there are only 11 of them, and most of them are either recolors or tied to an amiibo. Good to have, yes, but I would have preferred a wider amount due to the amount of side quests there are in this game. Alright, now here's the part of the review where I get into the spoilers. I do think it was neat that it's revealed why Link is mute in this game, and in the ending you do get to see him talk again. To be honest, I have no idea what that was about. I think the main villain in this game was intriguing. They connect him to the overall universe by being locked up by the goddesses underground. I don't know exactly how this would make sense in pre-existing Zelda canon. However, this fucking timeline made no sense to begin with. The final boss I felt kind of dragged on a bit with what felt like 9 phases. You do finally save Link, and the puzzle solving section beforehand is great. I like how we finally get to see both of them working together as a team. The problem, especially with this fight, is that Zelda gets nerfed by not having Sword Fighter mode anymore. So what ends up happening is you open up the boss's weakness for Link, and what does he do when that weakness is standing right in front of him? He uses a bow for some reason. The CPU annoyed me to no end sometimes, and it was really a sour note to end this game on gameplay-wise. If you want an answer, yes, I do think you should buy this game. I think this game really knocks it out of the park when it comes to the more open structure. I would have preferred being left to my own whims to explore and figure out the mechanics for myself at the start of the game, but I'm glad you get fully free after the first couple dungeons. The soundtrack, while being decent, I feel doesn't do a great job. If you ask me if I enjoyed this game, I'd say yes. This game gets a 3 out of 5 in my book. This game overall feels like they threw everything at the wall to see what sticks. And while that sometimes works, other times I'm left scratching my head. Still one of the better games this year though, and if you're looking for a traditional Zelda game, maybe temper your expectations going in. But what say you? Are you going to pick up this game? Leave your answer down below, and as always, have a great day.